Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show today called NG 英文. My name is John Drummond, or 阳昊恩.
Hello, 大家好，欢迎回到我们西平方的节目 NG 英文，我是 Angela。We
have a great episode for you today with our good friend Matt, who is the CEO and co-founder of 23 Brewing Company here in Taiwan.
是的，今天我们很幸运的邀请到了23号精酿啤酒的共同创办人 Matt 来到 NG 英文跟大家聊他们酒吧的起源发展，以及一路走来他学中文练中文的经验分享。
But before we get to the interview with Matt and I, Angela's going to help us break down some common language that is found around the bar scene here in Taiwan and around the world. Yeah. So take it away, Angela, here on NG 英文。
好的，没问题，这样谢谢你的介绍。对啊，等一下呢，因为今天的内容跟酒精有关，会谈到啤酒跟酒吧的相关话题，所以决定呢来跟各位分享一些我们在周末夜小酌可能会派上用场的英文。请大家赶快把 NG cheat sheet 你的 NG 英文笔记小抄准备好，我们要开始咯。首先大家都知道啤酒就是秘鲁，就是 beer，就再简单不过了，但是啤酒有分很多种啊，有铝罐装的，有玻璃罐装的，甚至还有直接在吧台上倒出来的那一种。那这些又要怎么表示呢？来，我赶快一一跟大家说明。这个 can 它有罐子、罐头的意思，那一般超商卖一罐罐那种罐装啤酒，我们可以说 canned beer。如果是一瓶一瓶的瓶装啤酒，是 bottled beer。那吧台上那些转一转手把就有啤酒出来的生啤酒，我们可以说 craft beer 或是 beer on tap。 这个 tap tap 通常指的是水龙头，但在啤酒界呢，这 beer tap 就是工作人员手一转啤酒就会出来的手把。一般如果你说我想要来一杯 on tap， 人家也一样可以懂你的意思哦。好，那既然说到了酒，当然不免俗也要来跟各位聊一些其他酒类的英文说法，来满足我这个酒鬼的小小心愿啊，对不对？没有啦，开玩笑的，是希望大家如果到国外酒吧，也可以从容不迫的用英文来点酒。第一个是香槟 champagne， 这我们前几个礼拜有提过它是法国一个香槟产地的地名。那红酒跟白酒一样都是 wine 这个字，只是呢会用红白两个颜色来做区分，所以红酒是 red wine， 那白酒则是 white wine。 烈酒的话我们也来认识几个。第一个伏特加，这大概也不用我多做解释了吧，就是 vodka。 那传说中海盗都爱喝的莱姆酒是 rum R-U-M rum。好，那 gin tonic 这个琴汤尼里面加的琴酒，想当然就是 gin。 那墨西哥有名的龙舌兰，大家知道怎么讲吗？没错，你答对了，就叫做 tequila。 最后威士忌，这个各位应该也都蛮熟悉的就是 Whisky。 只是如果想要加冰块的话，如果用 ice冰来表示，当然是可以表达意思，但更道地的说法是 on the rocks。 没错，就是石头的那个 rocks。 你要一杯这个 whisky on the rocks， 就是你 whisky 要加冰块，是不是还蛮特别的那如果今晚你不喝酒，是负责大家安全的代驾，可以说 I am the designated driver tonight。 designate 是指定，所以 designated driver 就是我们讲的指定驾驶。好啦，那希望刚才讲的这些呢，对你的英文学习之路有所帮助。如果有漏掉没有听到或写下的，也不用担心，可以上我们的 Spotify 或是 YouTube 频道，随时要听几次就给它听几次。有什么问题也欢迎在底下留言让我们知道哦。那如果大家都准备好了的话，我们就赶快进入今天的访谈内容，听听 Matt 的分享吧。
All right. As always, thank you, Miss Angela Ma, for that wonderful NG 英文 breakdown. My guest today is an American who has been brewing beer, which means making beer, in Taiwan for many years now. He has started 23 Brewing Company, 23 Public, 23 Music Room, and now 23 Comedy all around Taiwan. He is obviously a lover of craft beer, good people, good laughs, and so much more. So everyone, please welcome my good friend, Matt.
Hey, thanks, John. Thanks for having me in.
What's up, brother? Thank you for joining us today here on NG英文. So, dude, I was just kind of reminiscing a bit as we are coming up on our second edition of TEDx Nehu that you were our beer sponsor with 23 Brewing. Is that right?
访谈一开始呢，他们提到说Matt 他们的23号精酿啤酒是去年内湖 TEDx 演讲的啤酒赞助商，是说他一个外国人在台湾是什么时候开始踏入这酿啤酒的领域啊？他又是怎么接触到这一部分的嘞？其实呢，大概在8-9年前是从一个 home brewing， 从一个这个大家都喜欢自己在家里酿酒的社群开始的。后来2年后，他跟伙伴们大家志同道合，就决定创业，成立了这间23号精酿啤酒。几个字我们来认识一下 brewing 或是这个 brew B-R-E-W， 它在这里呢是酿啤酒，但是像其他时候如果你是泡茶或是煮咖啡的话，也可以用这个字哦。再来，常常我们大型聚会最后讲的感谢谁谁谁赞助，好，那这个赞助就是 sponsorship， 那赞助商的话可以说 sponsor。 最后我们会听到他们用这个 wild ride 来形容成立这间公司的经验，这是一个很道地的用法哦，常常呢会用来形容某个经验或是某件事的发生是一趟很棒的冒险旅程，就像成立这间精酿公司一样。赶快来听他的故事吧。
That's right. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was last December, I believe, and that was a great event. We really appreciated you having us out there. It was at 23 Brewing Company, we love doing sponsorships all around Taiwan and Taipei, and getting the chance to do TEDx was great.
Yeah, man, and we appreciate you, and you have some great beer. So.
Thanks.
23 Brewing, the word brewing, it means you make beer, right? So kind of a craft beer company.
Right.
So when did you get started with the craft beer scene here in Taiwan?
The craft beer scene really grew out of the home brewing community, which was a pretty tight-knit group around 7, 8, 9 years ago. And we started our company, 23 Brewing Company, in about 7 years ago now. It's just kind of grown since then. Yeah, it's been a little crazy, a wild ride, I would say.
Yeah, man, I can imagine it has been quite a wild ride for you. But I've been so happy to see you grow because now you have 3 or 4 different locations now that all kind of serve different purposes. So can you kind of break down what do each one of your locations do?
接下来他们会讲到 Matt 他其实已经有3-4间分店了，虽然说都是从23号精酿啤酒延伸出来的，但每间分店的主要特色都不太一样哦。像母公司23号精酿啤酒，它就是主要卖酒，全台都卖。好，那后来呢，大概3-4年前在台北公馆开了他们这间叫做23 Public 的酒吧，常常很多大学生都会登门拜访，跟朋友小聚，边聊天边品尝他们家的精酿啤酒。那之后呢，也因为这间开得很成功，就决定继续扩大版图，在圆山开了第2间酒吧。只是呢，这间跟公馆比较不一样，因为它有 DJ 在播音乐，让客人除了一样可以喝他们家的精酿啤酒，还可以跳舞放松。那今年又更不一样了，他们结合 stand-up comedy 脱口秀的喜剧表演，让客人可以一边享用他们家的啤酒，一边看台上的脱口秀表演，好好大笑一场，而且还是中英双语表演哦，非常适合想要学英文或是中文的朋友去磨练听力。那等一下 Matt 他会提到公馆那间是他们开的第1间 tap room， 那这个 tap room 它指的其实也就是酒吧啦，只是呢是有提供生啤酒的那一种吧。
Sure. So we have our 23 Brewing Company is kind of our parent company, and we sell beer all over Taiwan. And about 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago, we started our first tap room, 23 Public, in Gongguan. And that's more of a neighborhood-style type pub. We've got a lot of neighbors that come in there and university students. It's kind of a fun bar to come try our beer and have a good chat with the bartender, maybe meet a neighbor. And after that, we, with that popularity, we kind of went into something different. We kind of like to do everything. It's kind of like the craft beer spirit. We like to make different beers and try new things. And that kind of, translated into our retail outlets. And so when we make our bars, we like to do different things. So the first one was a neighborhood pub. The second one, 23 Music Room in Yuanshan. is more of a DJ bar where people can come and dance at night and enjoy a craft beer. And that's been just very well received, I believe, in that community. And this year in 2020, we started a stand-up comedy club called 23 Comedy over in Zhongshan. And that has just been a fun experience, I would say. We've got all our 23 beers there, and the stand-up comedy is just, I'm surprised at how successful that was.
Beautiful. Yeah, man. I love it. You're involved with the kind of the DJ and the night scene. You're involved with the comedy scene and starting this beautiful, thriving kind of population of stand-up comedy. And you do stand-up comedy in English and in Chinese, giving open mic nights to everyone here on the island. And I love that so much. We'll dive into that a little bit later with some language questions. But thinking about all the things you've already created, what are you kind of trying to focus on within the craft beer scene at the end of 2020 and into 2021 and beyond?
在这段访谈中 Matt 说啊，他们目前在计划开第4间酒吧哦，而且是比较偏 food centric， 是以吃为主的，可以点餐还可以喝他们家的啤酒，真的是一举两得。等一下他说这个 couple with 还有 pair with， 就是我们中文常讲的搭配结合齁，像第4间酒吧这样子结合美食来服务大众。
Well, we've been, we're always trying to make new fun beers, but we also like to make new fun places for people to enjoy those beers. And right now we're actually working on opening our 4th bar here in Taipei. Still looking for a location, but I believe this one's going to be more food-centric, coupled with our beer. So, so far you've been able to go to one of our bars and enjoy the beer, but now we're going to kind of pair that with food. So I think it'll be a very exciting location.
Yeah, man. I love that. A nice craft beer with some good food is, kind of makes me excited right now thinking about it. So, how can people around the community get more involved with the craft beer scene here in Taiwan?
紧接着他们提到啊，如果听众朋友对生啤酒这方面有兴趣，但是不知道怎么开始的话，不用担心，只要夏天一到，都有很多 beer festival， 很多这个啤酒节可以去光顾。或是呢，如果想要对生啤酒这方面有更多认识的话，也可以到他们的酒吧跟 bartender 跟酒保聊一聊齁，他们都非常乐意跟你分享有关生啤酒的专业知识。不管中文英文都通哦，而且你还可以点 a flight of beer， 点一组这个各种啤酒都有的小杯组合，去品尝每种不同的风格口味，甚至呢还可以听现场的脱口秀喜剧表演练听力。
Well, there's so many events going on, especially all summer with the beer festivals. If you want to learn more about craft beer, you can always come into one of our bars. You can chat with the bartenders. All our bartenders are pretty knowledgeable about our beers, and you can get a flight of beers. So you basically get a taste of each beer and the style and learn about it with the bartender. And you can do that, in either Chinese or English. We, and it's great because, we have like 2-3 Comedy. You can come in there and do that. And then maybe you can stay for, an open mic comedy show. I mean, we've got English shows on Monday and Wednesdays and Mandarin shows on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. So it's, there's always something for everybody.
Always a good vibe. Yeah, and, I love it because I've had a few people on, our friend Garrett who runs Drifters, and he's doing a beer scene out there. And it's just such a wonderful ecosystem you're creating,
Right.
Such a community. It's not only you can just come enjoy this incredible beer, it's also you can enjoy some good laughs with some stand-up comedians and some music at 23 Music Room and hopefully in the future, some food. And you mentioned something really cool about, the fact that anyone who wants to learn about the beer scene here, kind of more about what you're doing, can come and pretty much ask any bartender in English or in Chinese. So if you don't mind us transitioning a little bit into the language around the 23 Brewing Company. So was that kind of the purpose of setting up a bartending staff and team that could speak both Mandarin and English?
前面我们有讲到，在23号系列酒吧的工作人员，他们中文、英文都通。不过当初 Matt 他是为什么希望员工要有双语能力，要会各种啤酒专业术语的中英文说法嘞？ 原来啊，一切都是为了客人着想啦。不管是住台湾但中文不太溜的外国人，不会中文的外国游客，还是我们讲中文的当地台湾人，都可以有办法跟店内员工沟通，学到各跟生啤酒有关的用字。那这边提到的 terminology 就是专业术语，好，它比较像是一个总称。如果是想要讲一个一个那种专业用字的话，可以用 term 来表示，好 T-E-R-M term。但其实啊，它还有很多其他的意思，所以我们要记得用前后文来判断，才不会搞混哦。
Yeah, I mean, we train our staff in both in the terminology of English and Chinese so that, we can just include everybody. If you're a foreigner, a tourist, a local, you can come in there and get the same kind of education and learn that vocabulary as well.
What about your journey in terms of Matt? When did you actually come to Taiwan?
接下来 Matt 讲到啊，他大概是在8年前来到我们这美丽的宝岛。原本呢，只是来跟之前在美国的同学见面，结果没想到台湾的吸力太强，一来就被吸引住，走不开了。而且后来又刚好有机会跟这个酿啤酒领域的人接触，想说，这千万不能让这大好机会溜走啊！所以就留在台湾，一步一步走到现在了。这边有2组片语，我们来认识一下。第一个Window of opportunity 就是契机机会。好，第二个是 stick around 它有留下来的意思，不管是短暂停留，在某个地方多待一下再走，还是像 Matt 这样子因为酿啤酒的机会而在台湾留下来，这种长期的都可以用哦。赶快来听这段分享吧。
Yeah, so I came to Taiwan about 8 years ago. I originally visited to meet some classmates of mine from the States and, just fell in love with Taiwan as a lot of people do when they come here. I decided to stay for a while and I quickly just became involved with brewing beer and I saw, this window of opportunity in the craft beer scene. So I decided to stick around and then, pretty soon we started a company and I just never left.
Yeah, man, I love that. And, it's just there's something that happens in Taiwan to a lot of us since we just kind of find our way. So a question I'd love to ask here on the show is, can you share maybe some tips and advice about what you're doing in terms of your business ecosystem to help language learners around Taiwan?
在这段访谈里呢，他们会讲到 Matt 这些酒吧都是双语环境的哦，不管是员工还是客人都一样。那当然啦，台湾客人是一定会比较多，毕竟我们在台湾嘛，但是也多少都会有几个外国客人在店里，不管什么时候去都会有练习英文甚至是中文的机会，尤其他们的 bartender 就是训练来服务这2种性质的客人。如果看到今天有一个客人是自己一个人在喝酒，那他们也会担任起这个友情桥梁的角色，帮这位客人呢跟其他人牵线，介绍给彼此认识，大家一起聊个天，不管是中文英文都给他大方聊下去就对了。 Matt 鼓励大家要勇敢踏出舒适圈，尝试不同的事情，赶快马上找一天来酒吧喝一杯，跟大家聊天认识新朋友。反正酒精一下去，黄汤下肚，有没有？什么语言都可以讲得很流利，都不会害羞不敢讲了。玩笑归玩笑啦，大家还是饮酒要适量，喝酒不开车，以免造成遗憾哦。那这边John最后提到的 strike up conversations 意思是攀谈，这也是一个很实用的片语哦，在聚会上就很需要这样子去 strike up a conversation， 去攀谈来认识新朋友。
Our bars are all pretty much bilingual. You can go in there on any given day and, of course there's going to be more Taiwanese in there, but there's always some foreigners kind of speaking some English. I think it's a great place to, if you ever want to practice your English, you can go in there and do that as well as Chinese. If you're a foreigner and you want to go in and practice your Chinese, we set up our bars, our establishments to kind of cater to both. And I always tell my bartenders, if there's people at the bar by themselves, then hey, introduce them to somebody else at the bar and, get that conversation going, no matter what language it's in, and just see what happens. In terms of tips and advice, I mean, I would say get out of your comfort zone, get out of your bubble and come on in, have a drink. And, alcohol always helps the language flow a little bit easier, and maybe meet some new people and practice some of your language skills.
Yeah. So I love what you're saying then about that because, your bartenders, you're encouraging your bartenders to help people feel included. I used to be a bartender. I don't know if you know that.
Okay.
And I loved striking up conversations with two random people and then bringing it all together and making it very inclusive. So I love that you're doing that, Matt. That's a great place to make everyone feel included. So if you're interested in learning more about some delicious beers and meeting some cool people, go check out all the 23 brewing tap rooms around Taiwan. So a question I love to ask here on NG 英文 is, do you remember kind of any stories where you maybe stumbled over Chinese as you were learning?
紧接着 Matt 要来和各位听众朋友们分享一个他之前在夜市因为中文声誉没有发好而让自己陷入的一个尴尬窘境。他说之前在跟某摊位老板点水饺吃，但是因为他把都是3声的水饺讲成都是4声的睡觉，让老板一头雾水，想说这个人到底为什么要来我的店跟我说他要睡觉。虽然说后来他是有成功点了他想要吃的水饺，但是也因为这样子让 Matt 后来就变得更不敢讲中文了。
Oh, yeah. There's always a few. When I was learning early on down in Taichung, actually, I went to a night market and I wanted to get some dumplings, and I went up to a dumpling stand, and here's this guy in the night market, and he's standing in front of a stand, and he's just got a huge thing of dumplings in front of him, and he says, 你要什么? I say, 我要水饺, and he's like, 什么? 你要什么? I'm like, 我要水饺, and I kind of knew my tones were, wrong, because I hadn't been able to practice them too much up until this point, but he had no idea what I was saying. He was like, what do you want? And I kept saying in my head, I'm like, what? Like, I'm saying, 我要水饺. And my face just went bright red, and I was really embarrassed. And, it's a night market, so people are looking at me. And finally, I'm just like, 这个, I'm pointing at the dumplings in front of him. 水饺, 这个, and he was like, oh, okay, And I got the dumplings, but, this whole interaction, I just... it got me so embarrassed that I was even more shy after that, practicing my Chinese, which I think kind of hurt my ability to, improve for a long time there.
Oh, yes, bro. The tones of 水饺 versus 水饺. Oh, and the guy is sitting in front of a dumpling stand. It's like, what else could you want?
Exactly.
Right
yeah. I did not know.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And yeah, I think I like your honesty right there, though, in the vulnerability of, yeah, you got a little shy, and you're like, shoot, man, like I feel timid to speak, and I think that's something that a lot of my Taiwanese friends express too. Is
Sure.
They go to America and somebody's like, "What do you want?" and they get louder when they talk to them.
Yeah,
and they're just like, my English isn't that good.
Yeah.
And so I can totally relate, and I'm glad that you have. I'm glad you've stayed in Taiwan
cheers.
and gotten through that. But unfortunately, that's leading us to our last question here on NG 英文, and that is, if you could go back and talk to a younger Matt, would there be any advice you give yourself about language, life, or beer?
访谈最后 Matt 提到我们学语言真的要不断练习，千万不要像他一样因为水饺事件就气馁。Don't get discouraged， 别泄气，因为语言真的很重要，它是你跟他人沟通的主要关键，尤其像是 Matt 这种离乡背景在异乡做生意的，中文又更是一定要学好，所以他建议各位要多找机会给自己练习你在学那个语言，要这样子才会进步。
In terms of language, I would definitely, say just keep trying, don't get so discouraged in situations like that. Knowing the language, especially in doing business, it's so important. Knowing the language in anything, living in Taiwan, you need to know the language so much to have any sort of relationship with anybody. So, and really seek out those opportunities that you can practice more.
Yeah, man, I totally can relate, and just trying and don't give up, and even when we do get embarrassed, and even if you are shy, I think that the little effort does go a long way in the end. Sure. Beautiful, my man. All right, dude. Well, can you share where people can find some of your social media with 23 Brewing Company online?
Yeah, sure. We've got a lot of pages on Facebook. You can check us out on 23 Brewing Company or 23 Public. We've got 23 Music Room. You can also see it on 23 Comedy for the stand-up schedule, stand-up comedy schedule.
Beautiful. Yeah, and stand-up in Mandarin and in English. So Very inclusive, very inclusive. I love it, man. Well, I wish you much success, and I will be joining you for a beer very, very soon.
Great. Thanks for having me, John.
All right, Matt. It's been a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Peace. All right. Well, that is our NG 英文 show for today. We hope everyone enjoyed listening to that. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now Spotify. You can search NG 英文, or you can search on IG, NG English ICRT. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday morning from 6:30 to 7 and Wednesday night from 9 to 9:30. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
好，那我们今天西平方的节目 NG 英文就到这边告一段落啦。感谢大家的收听，别忘了到 IG 搜寻我们的粉丝专页 NG 底线 English 再底线 ICRT。大家也要记得每周三早上6点半到7点，或是晚上9点到9点半，把广播调到 ICRT FM 100，准时收听我们节目哦。那也欢迎各位上网搜寻西平方的攻其不备课程，或者呢是到我们西平方的官网多读读一些有关 NG 英文的文章，看看有哪些是可以吸收学起来的小撇步哦。我们下周见了，拜拜。